Project Full Suite. I came home early and accidentally walked in on Adrian's arranged date. The woman pointed at me and asked, "Who is she?" Victoria answered without interest. "Just the housekeeper's kid." Adrian didn't deny it. He swept his eyes over me like I was a stranger, then calmly went back to finalizing the wedding date with the girl. I froze for a second, then suddenly remembered that night 2 years ago, after I'd worked 3 jobs to put him through college, when his long-lost billionaire parents had reclaimed him. To bring me into the Cross estate, he'd fought them until they exploded. "Aiden, she's a working-class girl from the very bottom of the social ladder." Adrian had smiled, lazy and arrogant. "Oh yeah? Well, if you knew I'd already set our wedding date for the week I graduate, you'd probably lose your mind, wouldn't you?" My sudden entrance didn't rattle anyone in the Cross house. Victoria probably thought I loved Adrian too much to make a scene in front of guests and upset him. And Adrian, most likely, just didn't care. The girl across from him gave a little squeak. "Adrian, who is she? I swear I see her every time I come over." Victoria waved a dismissive hand. "Just the housekeeper's daughter. Perez, take your girl out for a minute." The girl didn't dwell on it, she tugged Adrian's sleeve instead. "You haven't answered me. Let's set the engagement for next month, okay?" I followed her gaze and met Adrian's eyes. He looked away, flat and detached, as if I were a piece of furniture. He murmured, "Whatever you want. I have 0 objections." Perez pulled me to the back gardens behind the estate. She poured me a glass of water. "Cass, you heard it, Aiden's agreed to the dynastic marriage. He's not going to marry you. What are you going to do? Keep hanging around Cross?" I cradled the cup and stared past the hedges. "Nope. I'll pack up and leave." My calm, matter-of-fact answer surprised her. Actually, this wasn't the first time I'd stumbled on Adrian with that girl. Her name is Rosalind, heir to the song retail empire. At first Victoria only invited her over for dinner, then nudged Adrian to drive her home afterward. One night I stepped into the hall for a drink of water and saw them outside in the garden. Rosalind stood on tiptoe, kissed his cheek, then ran off blushing. Adrian's face stayed blank. When he came back in and spotted me, he paused and stared, as if waiting for an interrogation. I backed away, flustered. "I'll head to bed. Sleep well." I fled like a coward. Looking back, I wonder what I was clinging to. Probably the fact that I still loved him then. Thank goodness I'm over it now. I sat in the garden for hours. Only after they finished their discussion and left did I slip inside. Adrian was alone in the living room. I exhaled quietly and sat opposite him. "Adrian, I'm moving out." He didn't look shocked. After a long silence he said, "Lo, I'll compensate you. Ask for anything you want." I propped my chin and thought. Then please help me open a cupcake shop. Not as compensation. Just payment for the part-time work I did to put you through college. That way we'll be square." When the words left my mouth, the hand he'd rested on the table curled into a fist. A beat passed. "Done. Pick any storefront downtown. It's yours." I'd known Adrian 5 years. We ended it in 5 minutes, no quarrels, no scorekeeping over who'd loved deeper or longer. When 2 people stop loving, even a breakup is efficient and clean. I glanced out the window, caramel sunset smeared the sky. I stood. "It's gotten late. Sorry, I'll have to stay one more night. But I'll leave first thing tomorrow, don't worry." Adrian's lips pressed thin. "No one's rushing you out. Finding a place takes time. Stay as long as you need." I shook my head gently. "I'd rather not. Running into your fiancé would be awkward." It was the first time I'd mentioned Rosalind aloud. The air iced over. Adrian lowered his lashes, they trembled. "I'm sorry." I stared at my toes, silent. Hard to say what he was apologizing for once promising to marry me after graduation, or for having quietly changed his mind. For Adrian and I were never officially together. Back in high school I'd lied about my age to work part-time shifts. He'd show up after night classes and wait for me outside the pastry shop. "Hey, Cass, is that your boyfriend?" the cashier teased. I waved my hands frantically. "He's my little brother. He's still in school, straight A student. No way would he date a dropout like me." Adrian's faded uniform jacket hung loose as he leaned against the wall, watching me lie with cool amusement. In truth, he's 6 months older than I am. That night in our rented room he crossed the line for the first time. He lifted me onto the table and nipped my lower lip until it bled. "Tomorrow when your coworker asks, you gonna tell her your kid brother did this?" I cupped my swollen mouth and shrank into the corner, deciding not to provoke him. He dragged me back, already lost in the role. "Say yes, big sis. Date me." I shoved his head from my neck and held the line. Nope. We agreed, after graduation. I accused him, half furious, half flustered. You don't want a girlfriend, Adrian. You just want to make out. He smirked. True, but only with you. Yet the moment he graduated, before we could even talk, cross-executives swept in and reclaimed him. Victoria refused to let me tag along. She began with polite persuasion and ended in hysterics. Aiden, give her some money and call it even. She's a working-class girl, dragging her home will only drag you down. Adrian gave her the same lazy grin. So if I told you the wedding date's set for my college graduation, you'd blow a fuse, right? Victoria's face turned slate gray. I will never approve. I don't need anyone's approval, he answered, tugging me out. The farce ended with her surrender, on one condition, you two will not date openly. Wait you until Adrian graduates, then we'll see. Adrian started to argue, but I stopped him. It's fine. This is already better than I hoped. At the time I thought she just needed years to accept me. Later I realized she was simply biding her time, waiting for Adrian to mature into the cross-era parent, waiting for the class chasm between us to widen, waiting for his feelings to fade, waiting for him to decide I wasn't essential after all. 5. I can't pinpoint when Adrian changed. Only that our conversation shrank. Whatever I said, he answered with a distracted grunt, as if we no longer shared a single topic. I understood he was ashamed of me one Saturday when he brought classmates home and I helped Perez clean. One of the boys snickered. Yo, Cross, rumor says you used to hang with a working-class chick. Must be this one, she's got the vibe. Another scratched his head. Tough look. If you don't respect yourself, don't expect us to, sis. Why are you scrubbing floors like the maid? Their stare said my helping was a joke. I stood there clutching the mop, unsure what to do. Adrian's face showed no disgust, he simply stopped me when I tried to pour drinks. Go to your room. He led his friends down to the basement theater and never looked back. The next day I explained, I helped because I couldn't relax while others worked. He gave a non-committal hum, then added in that cool voice, better not do it again. When I started to speak he was already heading out, phone in hand. Even on break he avoided the estate, as if I were something to escape. I watched his back until it disappeared. For no reason I remembered the Adrian I used to know, yet only 2 years had passed, and that boy was already blurred. 6. I packed 3 huge suitcases. One held my old clothes, the other 2 brimmed with designer outfits, bags, and jewelry he'd given me. I've known tough times, I'm not stupid enough to leave luxury behind on principle. Next morning Adrian waited in the foyer, keys in hand. I'll drive you. Oh, I already called a rideshare, it'll be here soon. He took my suitcase anyway, voice steely. Cancel it. Tall and long-legged, he strode ahead, I half-jogged to keep up. Adrian, give my bag back. He ignored me and loaded it into the trunk. Before he could shut it I yanked the case out, panting. He frowned down at me. What's with the stubborn act? Frugality's always been your creed, hasn't it? Letting me drive saves you cab fare, logical, right? In his eyes, cutting ties by costing myself money was pure drama. He stepped closer, gaze pinning me. Talk to me, Cassie. Years later and you still clamp up and push people away. The overcast sky felt heavier than lead. I stared at the asphalt, eyes unfocused. Remember the thunderstorm last month? I was stuck at the bus stop and called, you said you were nearby and would come. Then you texted you'd been delayed and I should just grab a cab. Adrian leaned against the trunk. Yeah, so? You're holding that against me forever? Swearing off my car for life? I ignored the sarcasm and looked straight at him. Actually, I saw your car. It was parked across the street. You just didn't want a soaking wet working class girl on your leather seats. I also know you've always hated being seen with me in your car, afraid your friends might spot us. The silence around us was absolute. So absolute I actually heard his breath snag for a second. Even now, remembering that day still makes me flush, a little, but only a little. I spoke slowly. So you don't have to force yourself into doing something you hate just because you feel guilty. And right now, I don't want to ride in your car anymore. While Adrian stood wordless, my rideshare pulled up. The driver loaded my suitcase, eyes darting between Adrian and me. Are you both passengers? I shook my head, slid into the back seat, and shut the door. Just me. Long after we'd driven off I could still see him in the mirror, rooted to the curb. Halfway to the sea. A thin drizzle began. For 15 minutes I stared at the fogged window. Finally I exhaled, a small, muffled sigh. I decided, on my own, to let this soft steady rain serve as the final page of my lousy first love. 7. Once I'd picked the storefront, renovation moved on to the schedule. Adrian showed up every week to supervise. One afternoon the painter mistook him for my boyfriend and teased, "So when's the wedding, lovebirds?" I waved both hands frantically. "You've got it wrong," I said politely. "This is my landlord." The painter apologized, hoisted his bucket, and left. Adrian looked at me. I thought we were at least still friends. I studied my clipboard, pretending I hadn't heard, and muttered while walking away, "Pretty sure I still need to order wallpaper." After that, whenever Adrian dropped by I found an excuse to leave. No more face-to-face. 8. Finish work was almost done. This week Adrian didn't appear. One of the laborers grumbled, "The young cross isn't coming?" I was counting on another barbecue on his tab. I answered, "He's getting engaged, he's probably tied up." Laborer, well, makes sense. I learned about the engagement from the local newsflash, "Old money heirs tie the knot, Riverdale's wedding of the decade." My gaze snagged for 2 seconds on the words "golden couple" and "match made in heaven," then I shut the page. The shop's grand opening was set for a month out, but I was flying solo, no staff. I printed a help wanted sheet, taped it to the door, and posted it online. Sure, I could sell the handbags and clothes Adrian gave me, but until revenue starts rolling in, every dollar counts. So I limited myself to one part-timer. 3 days later the door chimed. A mild, clear voice asked, "Boss, still hiring?" I looked up and met Ethan's eyes. I darted over, delighted. "What are you doing here?" Ethan was the only friend I'd made in the Cross estate, head gardener at the largest, glitziest villa. The owner is permanently away, they keep Ethan on retainer to prune tea. He back gardens now and then. No one seems to know which dynasty actually owns the place. His lashes cast shadows under his eyes. Got fired. Heard your cupcakery was staffing, so here I am. I worried instantly. But the wage I can offer is way below what gardening paid. I remembered the Cross gardeners pull $8,000 a month. I can barely manage half that. Ethan curved his lips. Doesn't matter. If money doesn't matter, what does? 9. Ethan mapped out every pre-opening task, how often to launch new flavors, how to market, which promos max profit. He sounded like he'd majored in it. He even brainstormed new recipes with me. 5 days before opening I set the final trial cupcake in front of him. "Is this buttercream too heavy?" He tasted, set the fork down. "Nope. Perfect balance." I pointed to the corner of his mouth. "You've got a smudge." He swiped twice and missed. Other side. I took the napkin, rose on tiptoe, and dabbed. Ethan braced one hand on the counter and leaned down so I could reach. "Thanks, Cass." My gaze accidentally locked with his. The window light turned his eyes liquid amber. For the first time I noticed, he's actually gorgeous. 10. When Adrian walked in I automatically said, "Sorry, we open in 5, then saw who it was and the sentence died. I'd assumed once he was engaged he'd stay away for appearance's sake. Need something? He ignored the question, eyes flicking to Ethan assembling the espresso machine. "Who's he?" "My friend, he works here now." Adrian's mouth thinned. "Funny, you never mentioned any friends." I didn't know how to answer, mentioning the past felt impossible. I had told him about Ethan, he just forgot. "Adrian, I made a new friend today. He gardens at that mansion." He'd stood up, eyes on his phone. "Do what you want. My ride's outside. Don't wait up for dinner." As the silence stretched, Ethan strolled over, absently touched a reddened spot on his lip and sighed, half complaining, "Cass, you hurt me here, go easier next time, okay?" I was still staring at the corner of his mouth I'd just wiped. "I barely touched you. Maybe your skin's just delicate, I'll be gentler." Ethan smiled, apparently unaware, or uncaring, of Adrian, whom he never once looked at. "What was that?" Adrian demanded, voice sharp. I was suddenly tired of the interrogation. "Why are you here? If there's no business, please don't come again." He stepped closer. "Even friends can't visit? Cassie, are we complete strangers now?" That was when Rosalind arrived. The door opened and closed. Adrian turned. "What are you doing here?" Rosalind smiled. "Why can you come and I can't?" She slipped her arm through his, greeted me, then said sweetly, "Only recently found out you aren't the maid's daughter. So you're Adrian's former companion?" She paused, fishing for the word. "Companion fits, since you two were never actually together." Her smile never slipped, yet it never reached her eyes either. She rested her head against his shoulder. Victoria didn't need to hide it. "It's not like Adrian ever planned to marry you, no reason for me to be jealous." Adrian looked at me, a flash of tension in his jaw. He caught Rosalind's wrist. Say what you came to say and leave. She pulled free. I have business. My birthday's next week, I want to order desserts. The moment money was mentioned I snapped to attention. Profit. Adrian studied her. Since when do you eat sweets? Rosalind caught the suspicion in his eyes, her smile turned a shade bitter. Relax, I'm not plotting anything. Frost is back in town, rumor says he returned 3 months ago. I sent him an invite, he didn't decline, so he'll probably show. My sources say Frost just hired several top pastry chefs because the heir wants to learn desserts, so I'm pandering with a dessert-themed party. By Frost she meant the conglomerate that relocated to Riverdale 6 months ago to open a subsidiary. Back in capital city Skyline it had been the undisputed leader. Even Song and Cross can't rival its market ca. The sole heir had been in New York for years, no one here had met him. All they knew was his English name, Elvis. His Chinese name, his face, mystery. Since the news broke, every socialite in town has been jockeying to befriend him. I listened, bored, and yawned behind my hand, then asked Ethan, who was tweaking the opening day campaign on his laptop, "Hey, is this Frost guy related to you? Or is it the other Frost that means pay?" Blue screen light flickered across Ethan's face. Without looking up he said softly, "Not sure myself." 11 Rosalind ordered 30 assorted Basque cupcakes, 15 brownies, and 10 sheet cake slices, manageable for 2 people. While I piped buttercream I chatted with Ethan as he boxed the pastries. Frost eats desserts crafted by world-class chefs, he'll probably laugh at mine. Rosalind says he's the guest of honor. Let's hope he never tastes our stuff, so she can't blame us if he's unimpressed. Ethan stopped, eyes lifting. Why so negative, Cass? Kid Frost hasn't met enough rich people. I lectured like a veteran. Every wealthy client I've served is the same. Only the best for their palate, they physically can't stomach ordinary food. You'll call it a stereotype, but I've never seen an exception, which is why my instinct is to keep my distance. They live on another planet. I heaved a sigh. Ethan resumed packing. After a moment he said quietly, "He'll like your cupcakes. Cass, yours are the best." At the time I took it as simple encouragement. 12 on party day I delivered alone, Ethan minded the shop. The rooftop grand was all crystal and champagne. I wheeled in my cart and called to Rosalind, "Where should I set these?" She floated over in a princess gown and giggled. "Halt. Don't push that thing another inch." Her hand almost touched my shoulder. Instinctively I stepped back. "You didn't think I ordered your cupcakes for my guests, did you?" Seeing the blank look on my face, she let out a ridiculous laugh. "Don't you yourself feel that your things are completely out of place next to Michelin-starred pastries?" She said, "This is for the servers and cleaners to have as an extra meal. Please hurry and take it to the back of the grand. The cheap saccharine smell is too strong, just like on you." Adrian stood not far away, champagne flute in hand. His expression wasn't mocking like the others, but his lips were pressed tight and he said nothing. Obviously he agreed with Rosalind. I didn't think there was anything wrong with giving food to staff, but I didn't like Rosalind's contemptuous tone. I bent silently, ready to push the cart away. An extended limousine sedan glided to a stop beside me. Rosalind wiped the smile from her face and quickly signaled a waiter. "Frost is here. Go open the door for him." The man in the passenger seat stepped out first and blocked the waiter's move. "No need. Frost suddenly finds this birthday party dull and has no interest in attending." It seemed he was Frost's chief of staff. Rosalind couldn't wait to ask, "May I ask why?" "Whatever made Frost uncomfortable, we can fix it." The chief of staff gave a formulaic smile. "Song, what you just said was really inappropriate. Publicly mocking a blameless cupcake shop doesn't showcase refined taste. If you have time, I recommend you go study and improve your cultivation." All color drained from Rosalind's face. The surrounding chatter grew so excited people forgot to lower their voices. The Frost heir apparent just returned to the country and Rosalind's already offended him. Looks like life's going to get rough. Watch, those social climbers will all keep their distance from Song to please Frost. Go further, companies might stop partnering with Song. Makes sense, maybe Cross will even call off the dynastic marriage to protect themselves. I followed the voices and looked at Adrian's face. Oddly, he wasn't worried about Rosalind. Instead he thoughtfully studied the rear window of the car, as if trying to see through dark glass. Frost's chief of staff paused, then walked up to me. "May I try your cupcake?" I froze for a second and nodded. I picked up a sliced cupcake and handed it to him. He carried it to the other side of the car, lowered the window, and passed it in. That window faced the flowers in the back gardens, so still no one saw what the man inside looked like. After a moment the chief of staff came back. Frost says your cupcake is excellent. He wants to know if you added black tea to the buttercream, because with the caramel cookie crumbs in the filling it tastes only delicately sweet, not cloying at all. I'd thought excellent might just be polite. I hadn't expected him to taste that layer. Apparently he truly understands pastry. I chirped an excited om-hom. Yes, I added black tea. Thank Frost for liking it. The aide asked for my business card. When your shop opens, we'll visit again if we have the chance. Frost says not to take Song's words to heart. Your cupcakes have character and are no less impressive than Michelin's. Wishing you booming business. I felt like I'd been beamed by a surprise Easter egg. All I could do was thank him in a daze. The aide got in, and the car pulled away. Until the taillights vanished, no one had seen Frost's face or heard his voice. 13 Back at the shop, Ethan was sitting at the counter. He came over. Why were you gone so long? Did something happen? I gave him a vivid play-by-play. Ethan, you know what? He actually caught the little twist of black tea I put in the buttercream. That makes me 10,000 times happier than being told the cupcake is delicious. Ethan hardly ever shows big emotion. Now, too, he only wore his gentle smile. That happy? So has your stereotype of him changed a bit? He watched me, something unreadable in his eyes. I thought seriously. A little. At the very least he doesn't seem like an arrogant rich guy who looks down on everyone. More cultivated than any I've met. Ethan lifted a brow. Looks like you performed well today. I recalled Rosalind's words and turned serious. I leaned close to Ethan and asked, Rosalind said I reek of cheap saccharin. Take a sniff, does it stink? We open soon, I don't want to drive customers away. He looked at me, then lowered his eyes and bent down. The scent of fresh mint off his skin flooded my senses. Ethan brushed my forehead. None here, Cass. A little lower, his nose almost touching my cheek. Softly, none here either. The warm breath from his words skimmed my ear, tickling. I froze, blood rushing to my cheeks. So close. Ethan seemed unaware of my reaction. He sniffed near my lips. No cheap saccharin here. But there's a faint buttercream aroma. He lifted his lashes, studying me like a block of wood. Cass, what about me? My brain had crashed. What about you? Do I smell of saccharin? I stared into his dark eyes, whirlpools pulling me in. No. A gust of cold air burst in as the door opened, yanking me back. What are you two doing? Adrian stood in the doorway, voice like cracked ice. He strode over and yanked me behind him, confronting Ethan. If you're only friends, don't you know boundaries? Ethan lowered his gaze, lips pressing lightly. Sorry, my fault. I'll be more careful. His gentle apology made Adrian look aggressive. I pulled my hand free and stepped in front of Ethan. He didn't mean it. Don't shout at him, you're scaring my friend. Adrian gave a soft sneer. Scaring? His eyes locked on Ethan without blinking. You've been here all night? Of course. Why do you ask? Adrian said nothing, gaze tracking Ethan to the bar. Ethan poured a cup of coffee and sipped casually. The sharp chill in Adrian's eyes never thawed. I didn't get it, but he was getting on my nerves. I shoved him out. 14 Opening day of the cupcake shop. Thanks to Ethan's launch campaign, buzz was huge and business boomed. To my surprise, Frost sent 2 congratulatory floral stands. Warm caramel tones that ched the shop palate. The aide boxed up a Basque cheesecake and a croissant. Frost saw on your card that today's the opening and wanted me to wish you great fortune. He lifted the takeaway bag. Frost told me to bring these. I didn't think I was close enough to Frost for this. I hadn't even met him. I see. Is Frost free now? I'd like to thank him in person. I rose on tiptoe and peeked at the extended limousine sedan outside. The aide glanced past me. I turned, only Ethan was there. He smiled. He didn't come. Next time, when he's free. I murmured an oh and asked no more. After he left I mumbled, that Frost is so weird. Behind me, the fingers taking in order paused for a second. 15 Half a month later the launch promos were gone, yet business stayed brisk. Near closing one day a girl walked in with a camera. The shop is gorgeous, and you two look amazing. May I take photos for social media? I'm a street-style photographer and can give you free publicity. Ethan and I didn't mind, so we thanked her and let her shoot. Next morning a crowd of girls blocked the door. The post had blown up. But it was Ethan's face that went viral. Comments raved about his star-level looks. Sales spiked under the Ethan. Too many girls came for pastries just to stare at him or ask for his WhatsApp. He declined each politely yet firmly. But some wouldn't quit and tailed him home to pester. His life was seriously disrupted. I looked up worried. Should we call 911? He shook his head. It'd only be temporary. and might provoke them into causing trouble here. I slumped over the table. Then what? Ethan seemed to weigh something, conflicted. Did you think of a plan? If I were publicly in a relationship, they might back off. Great idea, but, can you find a girlfriend right now? They have to see her with their own eyes. Ethan sounded weary. A relationship in name only would work. But I don't have anyone, in this city you're my only friend. I sighed. Oh. A few ons later my eyes popped and I sat bolt upright. Me. I'm a girl, I can play your girlfriend. He looked troubled. Wouldn't that trouble you, Cass? No trouble at all, once the heat dies down we can drop the act. Ethan gazed at me, equal parts apology and gratitude. So cautious it was heart-tugging. He'd said he never had many friends. Probably starved for affection, hence the timidity. I clenched my fists, vowing to treat him better. 16 When more girls came asking for Ethan's WhatsApp, he pointed to me. Sorry, I have a girlfriend. Huh? My friend asked 2 days ago and you said no. You're not making this up to brush me off, are you? The girl didn't buy it, ordered piles of pastries, and sat watching. I was wondering how to perform convincingly when Ethan came over with my butter-yellow canvas apron. You forgot to tie this. I reached to take it, he brushed my hand aside. Let me. He stepped behind me, arms coming around to drape it over my neck, then slid down to find the strings. I was practically caged in his arms. Even though I knew he was only performing for the girl across the room, I still felt unbearably awkward. I took tiny, shallow breaths. Cass, is this too tight? I blinked rapidly. No, it's fine. He finished tying the ribbon, then rubbed my ear affectionately. I stared at him, dazed. I couldn't tell whether his acting was just that good, or if he simply had eyes meant for loving. Things like this kept happening. It left me gloomy. I was close to losing my last psychological defense, to actually fall for Ethan. He only saw me as a friend, always playing a part. Yet I was almost sinking into the role myself. If he ever read my mind, he'd probably run for the hills and cut me off completely. One time I was in the storeroom checking inventory, about to climb down the ladder. Ethan stepped over, slipped an arm around my waist, and lifted me down. That wave of self-loathing surged again. I looked away. Ethan, no one's watching here. You don't have to act. He caught the irritation in my tone. What's wrong, Cass? Did I make you uncomfortable by picking you up? His mellow voice, coaxing like that, only made the tears of overload press harder. He took my silence as yes. Sorry, I crossed a line again. I'm not acting. I've just gotten used to it. He added slowly, used to treating you the way I'd treat my girlfriend. The tip of my heart stung from Ethan's ambiguous words. In the cramped storeroom, my heartbeat drummed like a fist on leather. 17 A month after opening. While Ethan and I tallied the books, we discovered sales had blown past our forecast. We decided we deserved a joint celebration. In the end we agreed to cook a big dinner at his place. It was my first time there. Just an ordinary condo complex, 2 bed, 2 bath, simply decorated, but every stick of furniture looked brand new, almost no sign of day-to-day living. Either he had just moved in or he traveled light. We picked up a 6-pack on the way. Before I knew it, I was tipsy. Ethan glanced at the clock, 10:30. Cass, it's late. Why don't you crash in the guest room tonight? Alcohol had set my thoughts adrift. Huh? Oh, sure. He ran to the corner store for toothbrushes and travel size everything. After a shower I emerged in the new cotton pajama set he'd bought, dizzier than before. Ethan must have showered in the master suite. When he walked over, I smelled the woodsy body wash clinging to him. Cass, why didn't you dry your hair? I hugged my knees on the couch. I'm too woozy to stand. So he brought the ionic dryer, plugged it in beside the sofa, and stood over me. You'll catch cold. Let me. He lifted strands, the warm air cocooning me. I don't know how long it took before my hair was completely dry. I looked up and gave him a small smile. Thanks. I noticed a single hair stuck to his cheek. Fair's fair. I knelt on the couch and said, hold still, I'll blow it off. I leaned in, lips near his skin, and puffed it away. All gone. Just as I started to pull back, an arm hooked my waist. I met Ethan's fathomless eyes and finally panicked. Cass. Our noses nearly touched, the air went thick. Do you like me? He murmured, mouth at my ear. I twisted the hem of my pajama shirt. After a long moment I whispered, I do. He brushed the lightest kiss across the tip of my nose. Then let's really date, okay? It felt like 100 butterflies were throwing a rave in my ribcage. Booze had sanded down my usual caution. I realized, clear and blunt, oh, he likes me too. I nodded. Okay. He chuckled softly and kissed me. Lower lip caught gently between his. I like you, Cass. Breath gone, swept away. Ethan's kiss was exactly like him, unhurried, but brooking no refusal. When he drew back, I had zero strength left. I looped my arms around his neck to keep from sliding off the couch. He trailed kisses across my cheek, light and uncountable. I really like you, he breathed. Even that tiny sigh felt natural in the hush of the room. 18 I don't know if other couples start like this. No slow burn romance ramp up. We opened on full intimacy. Ethan is practically addicted to kissing. It's a daily craving. I'm perched on his lap, mouths brushing. He speaks, steals another peck. Can I call you baby? I don't know how he can talk mid-kiss without blushing. He takes my silence for consent. The kiss deepens. Baby, don't hide your tongue-tip tease. When we finally break, I nip him in retaliation. What was that for? He asks. Face burning, I mumble, can you not be so explicit? Alright, I'll work on it. But Cass, you bit me, it hurts. I'm pretty sure he's exaggerating, yet his eyes are all pitiful sincerity. I squirm. So, what am I supposed to do? Go buy you ointment? His palms slide over my hips. Kiss it better? He's impossible. And undeniably a fast learner, making out with him feels dangerously good. I curl my fingers over his shoulders and kiss him again. A minute later Ethan leans back. I blink, Daz. Edition. Okay, baby, back to work, he says. I stay glued to his lap, indignant. You can't do that. You get your fill and then just shut the party down? He pauses mid-lift and arches a brow. Then tugs me flush against him. My mistake. We'll continue. I feel exactly what he means and scramble backward. No, nope, we're done. Let's go back to the shop, Ethan. He doesn't let me move. Kiss me exactly like this. But, you're poking me, I whisper into his shoulder. Ethan the ruthless simply says, sit higher, problem solved. 19 The honeymoon glaze of dating Ethan, every day felt like tiptoeing across clouds spun from cotton candy, left me lightheaded enough to nearly forget Adrian existed. That night Ethan dropped me at my building. The moment his taillights disappeared, Adrian stepped from the shadows, reeking of menthol cigarettes. You're with Ethan now? That's none of your business. I shut the topic with surgical neatness. Silence stretched. Adrian's eyes dulled, a layer of weary frost over them. He looked unfamiliar. Cassie, I called off the engagement with Rosalind. Before I could answer, he tugged a self-mocking smile. Why am I even telling you? I can't marry you. Even without Rosalind, there would be some other dynastic marriage. He watched me, laughing with his eyes. Tell me, did they bring me home just for this? He lit another cigarette. If that's all, I'm going inside. When he didn't move, I brushed past. He leaned against the stairwell, voice low. Cassie, I dreamed about senior year last night. I was leaving campus and saw you handing out flyers at the gate. But I can't remember what happened next. Do you? Can you tell me? I paused, then left without a word. I remember. I'd thought the last period hadn't ended yet. I hadn't expected him to leave early. The instant our eyes met, I dropped my gaze and pretended we were strangers. Adrian watched me for 2 quiet seconds, then walked over, took a stack of flyers, and started handing him out beside me. Hey, Adrian? Why are you passing out flyers? A classmate called. He gave a soft grunt. My sister's doing this gig, helping her out. To everyone, I'd always introduced myself as his older sister. Adrian's looks made him minor legend status. The stunt drew stares, and plenty of sneers. He ignored them. He didn't look at me once. Cassie, this is nothing. Making money isn't shameful. Maybe present-day Adrian really has forgotten, or when he remembers, he refuses to view it from that angle. After his worldview was rebuilt, that version of him would seem stupid. 20 Lately Ethan keeps drifting away mid-thought. I'm curled on his lap. It takes 3 tries before he blinks back. What's up, Cass? I shove my phone at him. Look, the local feed says the Frost heir apparent will show up at the ribbon cutting for the new tech campus. Same last name as you. Once the press floods in, maybe we'll finally see what this guy looks like. He only lifts a shoulder, uninterested. I poke his cheek. What's eating you? He hitches me higher and buries his face against my neck. I'm trying to figure out how to make you like me even more. I already like you tons. His arms tighten. Still not enough. 21 2 days later. Ethan left an hour early to move money into a CD at the bank. Not long after, Adrian called. Send 4 of your signature pastries to this address. They're for VIPs, so I need you to deliver them personally. He texted me a location, turned out to be the most exclusive club in town. It was almost closing anyway, so I boxed everything up and went myself. At the private room door I lifted my hand to knock, and froze. Through the narrow window I saw the man who'd said he was heading to the bank seated at the head of the table, immaculate in a tailored shirt, swirling a square tumbler of something amber. It was Ethan, an Ethan I'd never met. Beside him a guy I recognized, one of Adrian's trust fund buddies, bent low, unashamedly ingratiating. "Frost, we asked you," he hoping to discuss a stake. All the stray questions suddenly threaded together. Why Adrian had interrogated him about always being at the shop. Why the Frost chief of staff kept glancing his way. Why every stick of furniture in his condo looked untouched. Why he'd grown distracted as soon as news broke that the Frost heir apparent would appear in public. The scattered clues formed a single, blinding answer. As if he felt my stare, Ethan looked up. Our eyes locked. He set his glass down and stood. The door swung open. Voice unsteady, he said, "Cass." Someone inside asked, "Frost, who's this?" I stepped in, cupcake boxes hanging stiffly from my hand. "I'm here to deliver the cupcakes." The air congealed, visible as frost. Ethan stepped to my side. "This is my girlfriend, Cassie." I couldn't take it. I set the box down and bolted. He caught up outside vellum, reaching for me. "Cass, let's talk." I lifted a hand, signaling him to stop. "Right now I just need to be alone." He stayed where he was, not one more step. After a long moment he said softly, "Okay. But after you calm down, will you give me a chance to explain?" My gaze drifted, rooted to the pavement. I didn't answer. Eventually Ethan relented, pressing no further. "Cass, before you make any decision, remember two things. I'm not Adrian. And I love you." My lashes trembled. Ethan had his driver pull up, offering me a ride home. I stared at him, face blank. "I already told you. I don't want to see you right now." He dropped his eyes, swallowed. I'm not getting in. But it's late. I don't feel right letting you go home alone." "Let him drive you, please?" The gentle, coaxing tone stung my eyes. The night wind bit, and he wore only a thin white shirt, skin pale with cold. I said nothing, yet climbed in. 22 The driver glanced at me in the mirror several times, wanting to speak. At my building I thanked him and stepped out. Adrian was leaning against the wall, hands buried in his coat pockets, lazy and loose. "Tioch." Driver moved in front of me. "Frost said no one's to disturb Ro for now." Adrian curved his lips. "Why? What's your boss afraid of?" His gaze slid to me. "Cass, I'm guessing you know the whole story now. Ethan's no different from me. His pedigree is even shinier, so he has even fewer choices. He hid who he was because he feared you were gold digging, and because he knew his family would never accept you. While the novelty lasts he'll play dress up with you. Even if he keeps liking you, the best ending is he marries the girl they pick and keeps you on the side, forever in the dark." He opened his mouth for more, the driver's fist smashed into his face, thick Dongbei accent roaring. "Screw you, punk, you want another? Running your mouth non-stop." He noticed me still there, embarrassed. "Ro, did I scare you?" Me. 23 I sat on the couch, eyes open, until sunrise. Scenes of Ethan and me replayed on loop in my head. The sun climbed above the horizon, light pooling on my shoulder through the window, warmth seeping into my skin. I decided to hear Ethan out first. When I reached the shop in the morning, he was already there, still in yesterday's shirt. I frowned. "You stayed here all night?" He nodded, black eyes fixed on me. "I couldn't sleep, but I didn't dare come to you. I didn't want to make you angrier." I looked away, warning myself not to fall for the pitiful act. We sat opposite each other. His story started the day we met, when he'd pretended to be the gardener. He said he'd slipped back from New York 3 months early, keeping it secret, planning to lie low in one of his own estates for the summer. The first time he saw me he knew about Adrian, so he claimed to be the gardener in case I told Adrian and the gossip spread. Later he started liking me. When he decided to come clean, I was already preparing to leave Cross. That day I came to him and remarked, "Hey, I'm out of here." Maybe there really is a wall between me and rich people, even after 2 years at Cross I never felt at home. Thinking I'll never see any of you again feels light. "Oh, what did you want to say?" Ethan stood with his back to me before a potted Frolingsgold rose. His voice stayed level. "Nothing special. Just wanted you to admire the roses." After that he kept trying, as Frost, to change my mind. But faceless gifts only made me suspicious, so he stopped. Anyway, dragging it out this long is my fault. I'm sorry, Cass. No excuse changes the fact that I lied. He knelt beside me, lifting my hand to his cheek, looking up into my eyes. But Cass, no matter what, don't break up with me, okay? A word from high school English popped into my head, absurdly late, puppy. 24 Adrian never showed up again after that night. I didn't need 3 guesses why. I looked up from the register at Ethan, now surrounded by girls asking which pastry to pick. His identity was public, yet he was still playing shop clerk. He slipped through the crowd to me. Cass, when I turn them down, can I say I have a girlfriend? I rang up a customer, not looking at him. A few seconds later I answered, weak and reckless, whatever. After closing he followed me home, keeping a careful distance, afraid I'd snap. Lost in thought, I didn't notice the path blocked. Cass. Ethan's sharp call yanked me back. A masked man ahead drew a paring knife from his coat. Little girl, you know running prices below market price is dirty pool, right? Either hike your prices or I swear your shop won't see another quiet day. Seeing Ethan sprinting up, the guy tried to run. Ethan seized his wrist and twisted it behind his back. They scuffled. Ethan, he has a knife, don't. I hovered, frantic. Thank God the cruisers arrived minutes after I called 911. At the sound of sirens the thug panicked, slashed Ethan's arm while fleeing, and was cuffed. I ran to Ethan, face grave. Blood soaked through his sleeve, yet he seemed oblivious, looking down at me. Cass, I didn't set this up. I won't scheme against you again. Startled, I realized he'd misunderstood. The day he confessed I'd asked whether the street-style photographer had been his plant. He'd said no. Later his chief of staff discovered the post trending. He purposely let it ride. I'd only nodded. So the only reason we're together is because you engineered everything. I hadn't known it still haunted him. I stared at the wound, tears dropped. Ethan, you're doing it again. Playing the martyr. 25 After the ER bandaged him and we gave our official statements, I took him home. He pulled me onto his lap, kissing my swollen lids. You're not breaking up with me anymore, baby. I sounded stuffed. Do your parents know you're dating a girl who never finished high school? They know. Ethan said, they don't care. My folks are decent. Come meet them? The next morning I regretted consenting. Nerves escalated into flat-out panic on the way to meet Eleanor. Inside Frost my attention flew to the clatter in the kitchen. Ethan looked unbothered. Eleanor dashed out, face streaked with what looked like soot. Sweetie, our rice cooker attacked me. Ethan, she smiled sheepishly. You must be Cass. I hesitated. Hi, Frost. She shrugged, sheepish again. I meant to cook for you myself, sorry for the spectacle. The comedy melted my anxiety. When Eleanor heard about Adrian she said, don't worry, Cass. There's no dynastic marriage checklist in this house. She lifted her teacup like a duchess. Only little minnow companies need mergers to survive. Couldn't argue with that. 26 Eleanor loved my cupcakes. After Ethan sued the corner boutique into closure, business doubled. I carved out time to test a new flavor and took it to her with Ethan. Before we left that night he sliced half the cake to go. I figured he wanted seconds, thought no more of it, until, post-shower, he carried the plate into the master suite. Then I realized Ethan has an addictive streak. Kissing, for instance. Since our first time he's been insatiable. And lately he's found a new game. Ethan, I stressed, this is actual food. Buttercream is for eating. He nodded. Agreed. He opened the drawer, ripped the foil with ceremonial precision. My forearm draped over my horn-rimmed glasses. I wondered how life had led here. The room smelled like a bakery. I smelled strongest of all. Ethan, ever the gentleman, asked politely, Cass, can I frost here? He didn't wait, already painting slow swirls. When my thoughts blurred he lifted my arm away and teased, why the tears? You're a cupcake now, baby. He murmured every graphic detail, how he devoured me, and by the time I passed out from exhaustion I'd decided to close the shop for a week. Because I can no longer look buttercream in the eye, smiley face. The end. Serial filing number, YX19X2JMTD1Q21D90XNCX75A file provided and arranged by for preview only, do not distribute. For more shorts visit https://link3.cc/mymz.